Welcome to the OnlyMotors Archives, where we'll share with you our motoring experiences.
Let's see what lies in store.
Because we love cars.
This one, it kicks like a mule.
We're taking you to all the places a petrolhead loves with the help of our knowledgeable experts.
Only problem is, I've no idea what I'm supposed to be reviewing.
Whoa! What the hell's that?
Meet the biggest enthusiasts in the industry.
You heard it here first. Chris Evans no longer has white Ferraris.
Don't have a single white Ferrari.
Motoring madness.
This is where all the magic happens.
So they're terrible at parking, so look for a car that's pretty outrageous that he's parked across 2 bays, like that.
Fun, speed, passion, all in one place. The OnlyMotors Archive. Hello and welcome to the Archives Show. On today's show, we have got for you a tank car, an interview with the founder of the world's biggest cross-country rally, the Gumball 3000, the Subaru Outback, and a host of very uniquely modified cars. But first up, we're going to have a very casual chat with Gumball 3000 founder, Max Cooper.
Yeah, so the rally obviously is our sort of focal point of the year really, and I mean we're busy the whole year round with parties and events and products and so on, but this month and I have a team of people that work on the rally for actually, they're already working on next year and the year after, so we kind of have probably about a year and a half for each event. It's probably intensive focus, so you know the whole team by this point should be pretty relaxed because there's not a lot more we can sort of achieve really, but so really this last month and the couple of weeks leading up to it is more based around promotion. But this rally, it's Miami to Ibiza in 7 days, full of action sports demos, car displays, music concerts, parties, racetracks, the whole lot really. I'd like to think that kind of every year we kind of switch things up a little bit, but I think in terms of logistics it's definitely not the hardest. It's an easy one this year. It's difficult, but I think we're kind of well versed in that now because we've flown cars quite a lot. I'd say, to give you an idea of a difficult one, which is definitely probably a highlight year for me anyway, 2008's Gumball. That year, the rally started in San Francisco and finished in Beijing at the Olympics. And we drove half the rally through the US, from San Fran to LA to San Diego to Vegas. And then from Vegas, I flew all the cars to Suzhou in China. But simultaneously, I flew all the drivers from Vegas to North Korea, Pyongyang, and put on a music concert there. And everyone stayed in Pyongyang for 24 hours, doing a friendship event with the UN and US and South Korean and North Korean governments. And then I flew everyone back to China to their cars, and over 3 days they drove up Shanghai and finished in Beijing. We parked all the cars on display in Tiananmen Square the middle week of the Olympics. So having achieved that one, that was the one that was sort of set the benchmark for me, that if we can do that, we can pretty much do anywhere. Yeah, I mean the route is great, and even when you say sort of Miami to Ibiza, it kind of conjures up sort of party and a very kind of tropical, hot, kind of glamorous kind of start and finish, which it is. It's still got a really nice kind of cultural diversity in it. What I think, on day one, you're driving Miami up to Daytona and then to Atlanta, and from Atlanta up through South Carolina up to New York sort of route. And one day you're driving through South Carolina and 24 hours later you're driving through Scotland. And that for me is what makes this one really kind of quite interesting, and culturally just kind of the diversity of it is helps that kind of making it that experience for the participants as being a real once-in-a-lifetime thing. One of the ingredients of what the Gumball is for me is a combination of kind of, cars, music, fashion, pop culture, action sports, and so there's a lot of musicians that actually drive in the rally every year. And right from the very first year, actually, that it's the musicians that are driving on the rally that will actually perform at the different parties en route each night. And this year we've got about sort of 15 to 20 different famous sort of DJs and hip-hop artists and different bands. And so the schedule this year, I mean, we've got a really good bookends. So we've got Tiny Temper.
And that's the procedure from Miami to Ibiza.
On the rally this year for the first time, he did the famous song Miami to Ibiza, so he is actually performing in both those locations. We got one of the leading kind of dance music performers right now is Deadmau5, and he's on the rally for the first time this year and driving his Ferrari 458, which is kind of his customized Ferrari, and he's DJing pretty much every night, so that's pretty cool for us. I mean, what makes the Gumball very different from just a regular car rally or sort of an owner's club trip, if you like? I mean, it really is. It's the combination, the eccentricity, if you like, or eclectic nature of cars and participants that you have got. Heads of industries, founder of Facebook, next to the Russian oligarch, next to Saudi princes, next to hip-hop artists, DJs and so on, and really their cars represent those kind of personalities and characters. And so, this year I'd say diversity is such that we've got all the supercars that you can think of. Your Paganis, your Ferrari LaFerrari, your pretty much every Lamborghini of the last sort of 2 decades, Bugatti Veyrons and so on. And then on the other side, you've got a whole kind of another group of cars that enter the kind of, let's say, the luxury. So Maybachs and Rolls-Royce and Bentleys and probably Aston Martins fit that sort of category a bit more. And then you've got an American muscle car kind of culture to it too, and everything from not just muscle cars. I mean, this year we've got like 63 Shelby Cobra, other muscle cars from the 60s. We've got a Shelby Daytona. We've got things like Pontiac Trans Am and original like 67 Mustang, and really cool kind of American muscle car representation. And then there's probably another category which I say is a handful of vintage cars every year, from E-Types and Aston Martin, sort of DB4s and 5s, and even someone this year entered a 1926 Blower Bentley. So a real mix of vehicles. And then the last category I'd say is more kind of your wacky races, and that's kind of every year made up of everything from an ice cream van to a kind of, probably a highlight car this year, which actually did last year's as well. Although last year's it kind of got flatbed trailered around, whereas this year's actually driving is the Tumbler from the last Batman film. So that's probably the highlight car. And when you see that car in the flesh, if you put that car next to, new Ferrari and Lamborghini and Bugatti, the Tumbler is ridiculously cool. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Well, that was our chat with Maximilian Cooper, the founder of the world-famous Gumball 3000 rally, a rally that crosses multiple countries in the latest and greatest cars. Still to come, we have got a much cheaper equivalent to the Gumball rally called the Dumball rally, and a Citroen C4 that is nowhere near explosive as it sounds. Welcome back to the Archive Show. It's not often that you'd hear that £400 can take you 3,500 miles across Europe. But with the Dumball Rally, that is possible, and it's all for a good cause. We met up with Danny Main to talk about his tank car and the Dumball Rally.
Here's a man. Looks pretty normal. And here's another man. Alright, that's me, but even though I'm not normal, you should see this bloke's car!
I've never sat this close to a turret before. So Danny, first thing I want to say is stupid, yet stupendous, ridiculous, yet kind of wonderful. Now, you don't look much like a nutter, so what is the reason behind this like kind of bizarre yet brilliant creation?
We've taken part in a thing called the Dumball Car Rally,
Yeah.
which is a charity rally really, but you buy a car for less than £400 and then fancy dress yourself and the car, and then set off on a 3,500 mile journey to the sort of most war-torn parts of the world that you can get to in a car. And the general rule of thumb is somewhere that you wouldn't want to go to. We go there.
So it's not a holiday, you're raising money for a Teenage Cancer Trust?
Yeah, definitely not a holiday. We all get a manual issued to us when we turn up in Brighton to set off on our journey, and in big headlines it said Dumball is not a holiday.
So tell us a bit about the Dumball Rally, because it's kind of unique in the sense that it's not really a race, is it?
No, definitely not a race. So another thing that's in the manual is that Dumball is not a race, and one of the other things that everybody says is that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, it's about getting there.
Is it kind of to do with the camaraderie of everyone going? And...
Yeah, very much so. What you tend to get on Dumball is people from many different walks of life all coming together for the same aim. So there's very few things that you do in life where you can have people from totally extreme different backgrounds, and we're all in the same boat together.
For the petrolheads out there, because I want to know, ironically, I am the man on OnlyMotors who knows absolutely nothing about cars. What kind of car is it, and how did you come up with the idea, and how did you build it all? What are all the bits and pieces?
It's a Ford Cougar, which wasn't our first choice of car by any stretch, but it came along and it was for 400 quid. So it turned up on my doorstep. Somebody said they were selling this. We were looking for a big Jeep originally because we thought that'd be more tank-like.
Yeah. It's more manly.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, needs must, and this turned up. So we thought, well, that'd even be more funny actually, taking a Ford Cougar and turning a Ford Cougar into a tank. And it's kind of Sherman-esque in its silhouette, I think, as well. So it was a little bit more Sherman looking. And from a point of view of putting this on, Pete inside the car, he knew a man that could put this on for us. So we sent the car away to some secret workshop out in the country where he donned the turret for us.
You got the tank man involved?
Yes, we got the tank man involved. And then somebody else turned up that was actually restoring a Sherman tank, and they said, I've got the paint, so this is genuine Sherman tank paint.
I'm sat on Sherman tank paint.
Are, yeah.
It's not a phrase I use very often, but that's good. So, I mean, you mentioned 400 quid. It's kind of the rule that you can't get a car entering the Gumball that's sort of more, you can't take a supercar. Not that you would in war-torn places.
No, the Dumball is a banger rally as opposed to a supercar rally.
Yeah.
The drives are much the same. The first Dumball I took place in, we went out on much the same route as the Gumball had done in the previous year.
Right.
So it's treated in a different manner, but I think it's even more fun and even more stupid.
It's like a proper working man's rally,
yeah,
as opposed to how much money can I show off.
Yeah,
it's like, look at this, we'll get there in this.
With Dumball, we're split into squadrons. There are 6 squadrons this year, 3 of 6 cars and 2 of 5 cars. We're a squadron leader in this car, and we'll have a tow bar in the car, a tow pole to take with us. That's our contingency plan.
To help out if anyone needs it.
So if anybody breaks down, we've then got to tow that car for the rest of the journey.
And the thoughts on the Sherman making it in and out?
Well, it's the tank.
Yeah, of course, it's going to do it. And talking it, I know what everyone's thinking.
Yeah.
Does it work?
It does work, yeah.
Let's have a go! I love the fact I've just done the whole interview and no one pointed out I've still got my shades on. How rude. Whoa! How many points for a cyclist? It's only a joke. Yeah, it is. No, he's right. He just said the war's over.
He did, yeah.
So, am I okay to have a bit of a ride in this? Is that all right?
Yeah, you are, yeah, but only on one condition.
Yeah, go on.
You have to be the tank commander.
What? You can actually get in the tank bit?
You can get in the tank.
Oh, I'm so having a go at that. Right, let's do this. I'm so going to come back covered in pigeon crap, aren't I? Cue the music! To the Dumball rally! Let's go! I feel like a Dalek. Charge!
You know, next year, what you can do is just paint it grey and goes a Dalek.
Yeah. There you go, that is the Dumball Rally. And if you have an old Ford Cougar or any old car lying around, Danny Mains has shown you where to take it and what to do with it. Don't worry about looking strange and odd looking, because odd looking cars are actually the in thing right now, as our next feature proudly demonstrates. The Citroen C4 Cactus is as odd looking as it sounds, and it is not a spiky car.
Well, here we are in Holland with the Citroen C4 Cactus. A slightly odd place to come perhaps for a French car company, but nonetheless we thought we'd take the Cactus for a spin, because after all, let's face it, it'd be rude not to. Well, Citroen is known for its quirky creations, and the C4 Cactus feels like the right car at the right time for the company. Boil the Cactus down into its constituent parts and it's far from remarkable. A compact SUV based on really a stretched DS3 platform with a choice of efficient, small capacity petrol and diesel engines. It sounds like any number of other new models on the market, but it's the brilliant way in which Citroen's packaged it that has created such a buzz. Take the exterior, for example. The split headlights are a cue you'll find on the C1, but beyond the smoothly curved front end, the Cactus has a genuine wow factor on the road. There's nothing old school about the dashboard, which does away with buttons altogether, leaving a 7-inch central touchscreen to control the aircon and sat-nav, Bluetooth, etc, etc. A digital screen shows your speed, fuel level and total mileage. That actually replaces traditional dials behind the wheel. The wide and flat armchair-like front seats are incredibly comfortable too, and while you'll find some scratchy plastics around your legs, all the touch points have expensive feeling finishes. Okay, when it comes to cars, the boot isn't the most interesting of things, is it? But it is quite practical, let's face it, to have a car with a boot. This Cactus, the boot's actually quite impressive. We've got one very camp purple bag in here, camera tripod. We've got another flight case, slightly less camp in black. Another flight case, and my very conservative bag here. And shove that in there, or a couple of food bags as well, courtesy of Citroen. And there's probably still room, if you're a parent like I am, to stick a buggy on top. So, you know, quite a decent sized boot. So, when you look at the top of this Citroen C4 Cactus, you see some pretty oversized roof rails here. Now, they look great, but really practically when you think about it, if you're off to the south of France with your 3 kids in the back and your wife moaning in the front seat, you got your kiddie's bike strapped to this. If this was your car, would you really want gloss painted roof rails? I wouldn't, because these are going to scratch up like anything, aren't they, really? You've also got the very, very nice tinted rear area here, and this is the big draw. This sort of bizarre sort of air bump that Citroen have created, obviously designed to stop parking knocks and what have you. But I just wonder how expensive these would be to replace if they got really damaged. So what's good? Well, it's got distinctive looks, it's got a comfortable ride, low running costs with economical engines. But what's bad? Well, it does miss some creature comforts. It's not really a full 5-seater, and looks won't appeal to everybody. Expect to pay around £15,000. This is OnlyMotors, once again in Amsterdam.
Well, that was the world's first cactus without spikes and, well, with wheels. After the break, we get an inside look at Britain's craziest car customizers, Attitude Autos, and we look at a unique Rolls-Royce that shares the same engine with a Spitfire fighter plane and a Ford Mustang. Car customization is one of the most popular ways to express yourself through a car. But it's not always about body kits, tinted windows and loud exhaust. Sometimes it's actually just about being as creative and courageous as you can be. At least that's what the guys at Attitude Autos believe.
Welcome to Attitude Autos, a veritable playground of interesting and unique vehicles with 2 bald blokes. I'm obviously taught him. This is John. Nice to meet you, John.
Thank you very much.
You are, what should we call you, the proprietor of this place?
I suppose, yeah, partner with my brother.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So tell us about Attitude Autos. What's it all about?
We tend to make promotional vehicles, unusual modifications. We get involved in sports cars and all sorts of things, but it's bespoke. Bespoke motor vehicles mainly,
yeah,
is
so
what we like doing.
It's all about vehicles, but not just like, I mean, you've got a lovely Cadillac here,
yeah.
which you've done up from when it was rough as nails. But it's not just about making cars pretty, is it? It's more of an artistic thing, would you say?
Yeah, it's all sorts. Yeah, right from, you know, our background is restorations and stuff like that, as well as art and everything. So it's a combination of everything. We like keeping stuff nice and pristine if we can, but if we can't, you know, I like to modify.
But
and play around.
I've had a little chat with you before. Would you say it's fair to say the weirder the better?
Absolutely, yeah.
Show us some weird stuff there.
Come and have a look.
All right.
Yeah, this is the Creepy Camper.
Okay.
This is based on the Addams Family cartoon back from the early 70s, and I wanted to basically recreate a very real version of the thing. So it is going to be a genuine camper van,
right,
but themed absolutely as well as I can get it.
So as everything is here, a moving vehicle that works with all the parts and whatever, but kind of like maybe something you would find at a theme park, perhaps, but a bit more freaky than that. Yeah,
absolutely. It's going to be a surreal situation from the moment you step even near it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be wild. Yeah, we've got a tombstone grille. In the cartoon, it had a tombstone grille, it had a casket as the bonnet, had a very kind of 1930s feel to the front end of it, so I've started making up the framework for it. It's going to have church pew seat, it's going to roll over to a bed and nails, a mantelpiece as a dashboard, a mantel clock as a speedo.
Right.
Then you go through into it, it'll have a four-poster bed at the far, you know, the far end of it or this end of it. kitchen sink is like a Stone Age hand carved sink. All the plumbing's going to be wild. That's going to be rigged up to a smoke machine, so that's going to emanate smoke.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, how mental are you?
11.
I'm verging on a 12, so I'm letting you
That's impressive. So this was originally a prop.
So what is this vehicle? I noticed you've just said it's a moon buggy, and I presume someone gets in it?
Yes.
And their head appears there?
Yeah, I'm going to have to change this because my head only just fits in there.
Right.
Essentially, it was just prop. It has got steering and that lot, but it was based on, I think, something from the Moonraker film.
Yeah.
But we want to make it a real going little vehicle, just because.
And with all these vehicles that you create within your wonderful and wacky mind, you attempt to make all of them road legal as much as possible? Or
if we can make them road legal, definitely all motorised.
Yeah.
You know.
But obviously some of them probably that you wouldn't get away with this.
I like, because I'm a petrol head.
Yeah.
If I can motorise something, I will motorise it. I will do everything I can to get it motorised. So as soon as this turned up, I thought, yeah, it's got to be done. The likes of the trike here. This is based on the familiar G-Whiz that is seen on Top Gear. That's much hated, I think, by Top Gear crew. It's electric motor. It's got kind of potential. It'll do about 60 miles an hour, I think. But what I wanted to do, I wanted to create a trike for the world record.
Oh, so you have kind of fingers in many pies. It's not just you restoring and you creating all these pieces of art. You actually want to have a go at some records.
Absolutely, yeah. And as far as I know at the moment, the electric trike record doesn't exist. Yeah, so this is basically, it's got a Formula 1 seat in it. It's going to have all wraparound bodywork and all that lot when it's done. But I want hub centre front steering in it. The radical part about it is there's going to be a thumb throttle. We're going to have brakes on the left-hand side, and the steering will be via foot pedals. If I'm not doing something like that, we've got, this was going to be our firm's vehicle, was a Tigra pickup. And again, like with the Vauxhall Tigras, when they very first come out, you look at the rear window on them and I thought, they look like a pickup.
Yeah.
They were so weird when they come out. So I thought, I want to make one. And I wanted to make it as convincing as possible.
You just carved it up, yeah?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Yeah, so I've made a one-piece proper tailgate for it.
Yeah.
So I moulded all the back end, cut that out. So this is going to drop down. It's a real working bed. So the Tigra is based on a Vauxhall Corsa.
Okay.
And the Vauxhall Corsa van is a combi van, which is commercial.
Yeah.
So I've used all the combi van bits and pieces inside it. So it's going to have the floor pan, the bulkhead, the vinyl mats inside, because I want it utterly, if Vauxhall were to do it, that's how I wanted it to be.
I've noticed within your work, like with the camper van, if you're running on a theme, you want to go as specific within that theme as possible.
Absolutely.
It's not just, I've had a weird idea, let's stick a gargoyle on top of a Vauxhall Corsa or something like that. It's you run with the theme, and the same with this.
Yeah. And if when I first started doing it, I thought, well, better look and see if anyone's had a go. And in Germany, they actually made kits for them, but all they did, they took the lens off and literally made a little frame that went up in the back, and it was awful. It was just, nothing was thought about in it.
Yeah.
Whereas I want this thing to be as if Vauxhall had made it. I want this to go into Vauxhall owners clubs and stuff like that, and then say, I'm sure that was never made. That is my mighty midget. Now this little beastie was it's a K-van made by Daihatsu in Japan, and because they've got size limits and stuff like that, they're limited to, I think it's about 600cc and up to 64 horsepower. This little beast put out 34, but it was a 3-cylinder flat 3 engine.
Right.
Great fun, absolutely great fun.
Tiny little thing with a tiny little engine.
Single seat, but I wasn't quite satisfied, so I've stuck a 140 brake horsepower.
Funny that, he's got mental.
So I've got my shifter here, but the original one was an automatic, so I didn't have the clutch pedal.
Yeah.
So I'm actually putting a bike clutch lever on the shifter.
Okay.
So you'll be shifting
You won't be carrying many passengers in this one, though.
It's a struggle. They've got half a seat in there.
So in this, you actually sat next to the engine.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is that, I don't know, is that all right? Yeah.
Well, originally you're sat on the engine. It's only because the engine is now taller than the original.
Because you're working on it.
So I've made a one-sided kind of race seat, and the other side of the seat is the engine cover that isn't in here currently.
And within your business, I mean, you know, where's your income coming from? Is that more mainly the restoration? But
yeah,
because you said, you know, some of the cars that you do have, obviously they get hired out, and
you know. The stuff occasionally does get used, and I mean, obviously, the more we can, the better it is.
Yeah, of course.
But other than that, is from restorations and paintwork.
So this is a restoration, yeah?
Yeah.
And how did that come in? Or being knackered, or?
No. This is actually as the customer's brought in. Yeah. It's for a Mini. It's in remarkably good condition.
Yeah.
It's the woody one with the wood side panels and bits.
Old school, nice.
Yeah. The customers are lucky to have come across it like this. So yeah, we're going to put the paintwork on it. It's essentially all we're going to be doing on this one. So it's not our restoration, but.
Oh, so you're just tarting it up?
Absolutely, yeah, prettifying it.
Tarting the shell up. I don't believe that's an expression, I just made that one up.
This is under the wraps here. Is Adam's, that's the chap who led me to create the toy car. This is his calf racer wrap, which is an old Cossack, which is an ancient Russian thing.
Rarely do I get invited in to see an ancient Russian bike. There's a joke in this.
Yeah.
But I won't go there.
So yeah, we sort of approach it from just about every angle possible. So that's a weird one.
It's just like, you know, even with my lack of knowledge of not just bikes, but motors, cars, anything, even though I work for OnlyMotors, it's just these things are kind of incredible to look at.
Yeah.
You just don't see them.
I mean, it's really pretty. It's going to look lovely when it's done, but it's going to keep the rat look on it, which I think I really like. I've got something about the rat look. And because they're all sidecars normally, they're all combinations. So they've all got sidecars with them. So this one isn't.
One thing I do like about this place is you can go on the road, and especially with all the modern day cars and whatever, and bikes too, a lot of them, although they do this and that, they all look the same.
Yeah.
Whereas here, you have a look around, and in many different workshops, there's just, like I've used it before, but there's a uniqueness about each individual, should we call it car, bike, piece, art, you know.
Yeah, everything's got to be unusual that comes out of here. That's what we kind of pride ourselves on. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for inviting this unusual presenter. I appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much indeed.
So that was Attitude Autos with probably one of the best ideas of getting use out of a G-Whiz, other than driving it or just not having one. After the break, we have got probably the most insane Rolls Royce in the world, and we take the Subaru Outback out back. Welcome back to the archives. Nowadays, we know Rolls-Royce as one of the most luxurious car manufacturers in the world. And while Rolls do put some powerhouse engines in their car, I don't think they've done anything as crazy as enthusiast John Bod did. We met up with the man who put a Spitfire fighter plane engine into his Rolls-Royce.
I found the owner of the car with the very long bonnet, John.
John Dodd, yes.
Tell me what this is.
Well, now come with me and I'll show you. Action's better than words. Yeah.
Okay. And more flex on my rat.
Private Rolls-Royce.
A private Rolls-Royce.
That's it.
So did somebody ask Rolls-Royce to build this?
Well, they didn't give any kind of permission. We built it. The LCC called it a Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce got angry. They started off with the LCC, but by the time they did all that, it was 10 years old. And the LCC refused to budge.
What's the LCC?
London County Council.
Right.
Now it's not, it's all up at Swansea. So what they did, they sued me for calling it a Rolls Royce. I didn't call it a Rolls Royce, the LCC did. But I mucked about and took a cavalier attitude with the High Court.
You don't mean you put a Vauxhall engine in it, do you?
No, it's a Merlin, and I'll show you.
A Merlin?
Oh yeah, Rolls Royce Merlin.
It is actually a Merlin engine.
Yeah.
So in here is a Rolls Royce Merlin engine. Whoa, that's like a whole Spitfire in there. Wow. So that we've got Spitfires flying around today, Battle of Britain,
engine, yeah.
and that's the same engine.
And the same as the Mustang as well, yeah. But this one was built at Rolls-Royce Crewe. The Merlin and the Mustang is built at Packard.
But to all intents and purposes, same engine,
same engine, yeah, same everything else, yeah.
So what possessed you to put a Merlin engine in a car?
Well, a guy called Paul Jameson, who was a brilliant British engineer, decided to give me a rolling chassis with it in all running. So I could see the value of it, so I got a company to put a body on it.
Right.
And the rest is history, you know.
And who did put this body on? Because it looks like some kind of futuristic, I don't know, Doctor Who thing.
Mr. Roy and Bob Phelps, it's the late great Mr. Phelps, brilliant engineers who owned and built Santa Pos Raceway.
Yeah.
They actually built the body for it, you know, and made the whole thing and designed it all.
Where did they get their inspiration from for the design, do you think?
I think it was half and half. I was the world's leading automatic transmission repairer, so they decided, and I used to do a lot of repairs for them, so they decided to do it for me.
Right.
Know.
Could we hear it running, starting up? Would that be possible?
Oh yeah, I think so, yeah.
Do you have to crank it in a special way?
Yeah. Certainly, yeah.
I think we'll call this the Dod Beast.
Another few gun.
Is it road legal?
Yeah, I've driven it through Spain. It's tax, license, and MOT, the whole thing. Yeah, for 40 years. Yeah, it's completely legal.
Well, congratulations, because I do believe you've got the most mad car we've ever featured on OnlyMotors. Thank you, John.
Right, yeah.
That's the Dod Beast.
I'm only managing 135 miles an hour here because we're running out of runway. I should be airborne and can't get airborne. There's no wings, but I've got the wrong differential in it and the wrong carburation. But if I had the right carburetor and the right rear end, I would do over 200 miles an hour.
You really would be rolling the big guns out.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's a street legal car. Very happy, you know. Oh, and I run 10 seconds in the quarter mile at Santa Pod Raceway.
They could measure you even though you were up there somewhere flying around.
No, I honestly drove it 1,450 miles, Malaga in Spain, to Epsom in Surrey 12 times.
Unbelievable. How much oil does it carry?
The engine?
Yeah.
I think it's 8 gallons. 8 gallons, yeah.
You wouldn't want to get that down your sleeve, would you, after you've had the engine running?
7 gallons of antifreeze.
7 gallons of antifreeze.
Yeah.
Just to explain that strange comment, if you're changing the oil, sometimes you get oil down your sleeve. It's not like a fetish or anything.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you, John.
That's all right.
Well, there you go. That was John Bodd's fighter plane powered Rolls Royce. You can't say we don't give you some of the most rare and unique cars on this show. That Rolls was quite the beast, as is our final feature. The Subaru Outback was named after the incredibly demanding Australian Outback. So this final feature I leave you with is a test to see just how good the Outback really is.
Subaru has been using the all-wheel drive arrangement since 1972. The power, the engineering and the grip its cars had meant it went on to become a legend in rallying. In turn, motorsport popularised Subaru's all-wheel drive system, and that led to a boost in sales. That star has now waned because in 2008 it was announced that Subaru would no longer be competing in the World Rally Championships. However, Subaru continues to pull its weight, especially in the SUV and crossover categories. Take the earthy Subaru Outback for example. This car has a more premium feel than its predecessor. Lots of nice materials now cover up the areas where previously there were lots of cheap slabs of plastic everywhere. The stance of this is very masculine too, and definitely has road presence. What's also accentuating the power of the Subaru is the signature bonnet scoop here that Subaru likes to give nearly every one of its cars. Body-coloured cladding also replaces the previous model's horrible cheap black plastic. The ride is typically Subaru. Velcro-like grip and a slightly cushioned feel thanks to the comfortable seats. In fact, as part of its 2014 upgrade, the car's handling characteristics have been enhanced with revised suspension components and the latest incarnation of Subaru's vehicle dynamics control. This technology, along with alterations to the front and rear suspension, gives a stable on-road feel. The Outback fills you with confidence in the snow or on grass or basically anywhere without a pasting of tar. The legendary all-wheel drive credentials just kick in without any fuss, and you don't have to press any fiddly buttons or anything like that. The most significant change for this Outback is the pairing of the 2-litre Boxer diesel engine with this, the continuous variable transmission Lineatronic gearbox. It's a world first, in fact. The result is mixed. The power's there okay, but it cranks up the clout in a way that you don't even notice. If I want to get done for speeding, I want to know it was worth it. With the new engine and gearbox combination, the fresh Subaru Outback can return an average fuel consumption of up to 44.8 mpg, whilst emitting 166 grams per kilometre of CO2. The figures aren't astounding, but they're not bad, especially for a car with more gadgetry to keep it from straying off the road than the average new motor. The car we're driving, the Subaru Outback Lineatronic DSX, has flagship levels of equipment inside and out. For a start, there's a nice leather-wrapped steering wheel, a glass sunroof, much clearer instrumentation, and the materials are just of a higher quality. Outside, the wheels, beautiful gunmetal, grey, 17-inch alloys. Generally, the whole car looks more fit for purpose now for 2014. So that's a lot of car then. And when you think about it, £31,500 isn't that much to pay, especially compared with German rivals. But Subaru, you need to do something about your MPG and the CO2 emissions. They're not that brilliant, and I've got to say, the car still remains a legend though in my eyes. All the way back to 1972, it's amazing to think you've been doing all-wheel drive since then. I think this jacket was around then perhaps, potentially, around the same time as Shaft.